Ooh man, IUNO fans are something else. Now look, if you ignore the interesting things about IUNO, you'll realize that she's actually incredibly broken. I mean, like, she'll be the new best sub DPS support for a lot of current comps. You're not a feat lover if you want to pull her, except you kinda are. So without further ado, this guide will cover her best gauntlets, echoes, playstyle / team comps, and sequence node value, so that you're fully prepared to enjoy, well, this. Now, yes, she is a gauntlet user. Her signature, Moongazer Sigil, is absolutely broken. It's practically Augusta's signature with the defense ignore, which is kind of funny. It's about a 40% damage increase over Abyss Surges, the standard weapon, which is insane, but let's look at all her options. Verity's Handle will be her next best because of attribute bonus and liberation bonus, which is where her damage is focused. She is a liberation damage dealer. Both Rocha and Zanny's signatures are also pretty solid. Those are only limited gauntlets, and they are all better than Abyss Surges, which is better than all the 4-stars. Both Battle Pass weapons are best, obviously, and then her best free-to-play 4-star gauntlet option will be Hollow Mirage. Celestial Spiral is not bad as a last resort. Now, overall, I really don't suggest pulling her weapon because it literally can only be used on her, and it probably will stay like that because it's so incredibly niche. It's not worth unless you're going all in on IUNO, or you want to play her as a main DPS, which we will get into later. Next up, Echoes. She's very easy to build. She uses the same set Augusta does, Crown of Valor. She also gives herself multiple small shields throughout her rotations from her inherent skill, and no, Law Harmony is not for her. It's a strange set, probably meant for Galbrina or most likely Chuyen. So pair this 3-piece with a 2-piece Sierra Gale, Gussa Welkin, or Windward Pilgrimage. They're all 10% arrow damage, so they all perform the same. Then Lingering Tunes is very slightly worse, to the point where substats decide if it'll be better or not. IUNO does not want any other sets. Her ideal main stats are the standard DPS 4-3-3-1-1 with crit rate or damage, double arrow damage, and double attack percent. The substat priority being 10 to 20% energy regen, but you might not even need any, although I do suggest about 1 to 2 ER rolls because her liberation is incredibly important. We'll get into that later. But besides that, aim for crit rate, crit damage, the 1 to 2 ratio, normal stuff, and attack percent, with liberation bonus being the only other valuable stat. Now the fun part, playstyle and team comps. So there is so much to be said about IUNO, so strap in. Now, she is an arrow gauntlet user who is designed to be a sub DPS buffer. Her personal damage is incredible, and her rotation completely revolves around her liberation and forte. So this is how you play her. First, you want to intro. This is super important. Her rotation gets complicated if you don't, because her intro does 2 things. 1, her normal skill changes into an enhanced skill, Closing Refrain. This triggers her lunar cycle. It's just a state that allows her to do new things. Second, she gets 40 out of 100 forte. Okay, so you've introed, you've skilled, now you ult. This does great damage and gives you the last 60 sentience / forte. So now you have full forte and you're in your lunar state, half moon. That's the default lunar state. All you have to do is jump to enter into new moon state. This is where you want to be at all times during her crazy damage windows. It's where all the multipliers are locked behind. You don't want to be in half moon state. You always want to be in new moon state as much as you can. All of her attacks will start consuming forte, and now the rotation that does the most damage will be doing 2 skills, because she gets 2 charges of this special skill, and their scaling is completely broken, then just basic until you can outro. That's it. Her entire rotation is intro, skill, alt, skill, skill, basic until outro. She's incredibly easy to play and does not take much field time whatsoever. So let's discuss her team comps. A lot of people get caught up in one aspect of her kit and think she's super niche, when in reality she's an upgrade in a lot of comps. Firstly, Augusta Hypercarry is undoubtedly her best. Why? Well, because Augusta is the only character that utilizes this one aspect of her kit I mentioned, the 40% all-type amp that you get when applying many small shields. These two are the only ones who can do that so far, plus Augusta is a heavy damage dealer, so IUNO's 50% heavy amp is even more buffs. Augusta, IUNO, and Shorekeeper will be the newest, strongest comp in the game. The damage output from this comp will just be unmatched. Now, other heavy attackers benefit from this damage amp. It's the biggest in the game. GN Hypercarry with IUNO is now his best comp. Zanny Hypercarry with Phoebe will be Zanny's new strongest comp. Yes, IUNO provides some healing, but it's minimal, so this comp is kind of hard to play. Regardless, the damage output is cracked. IUNO is an upgrade for Phoebe Hypercarry as well. She literally just replaces Mortifi and Furlova for any heavy damage dealer. However, sub DPS is not the only way you can play her. She can be played as a main DPS as well. Her rotation is almost the exact same, except instead of outroing when you run out of forte, just jump again. You'll go from new moon state back into half moon state, and then all of her attacks will start start recovering Forte, so that you can jump again, go back into her new moon state, and continue that crazy DPS. Honestly, Kuro cooked with this kit. It's so simple and fun to play while still having enough complications to optimize her like crazy. Now for a hyper carry IUNO, she only wants liberation and arrow buffs. All of her attacks count as liberation. So we have Janjin, Yinlin, Shangli, Xiaosona, and Alto. So Janjin provides the biggest liberation buff, but she's just garbage in general. Yinlin and Shangli provide the same 25% liberation buff, but overall Shangli will do more damage, so she kind of wins over Yinlin there. For arrow buffs, Alto provides the biggest one, but he's garbage in general, so I don't really suggest him. Xiaosona, on the other hand, is great. Yes, her outro is useless. IUNO does not do arrow erosion, but Xiaosona still does provide 24% arrow amp. And she has great personal damage while letting IUNO take up most of the field time. So all these options, Xiaosona will be best, and if you don't have her, then I suggest Shangli. But Yinlin is still great. Finally, let's cover her sequence node value. And just to get it out of the way, her signature is more valuable than her S1 by far. Her S1 is nothing too crazy. So what does it do? She gains 40% attack when in the lunar cycle, which she is always in. Her full moon domain now restores energy, which is whatever. She didn't need much ER anyways. Kind of a letdown of an S1 with only about a 10% damage increase. The only value comes from the 40% attack. S2 is the big one. So IUNO's Blessing of the Wand Light can now give an additional 40% amp on top of the already 40% amp. Of course, this only applies to Augusta IUNO herself because of the shield mechanics. Either way, it's a massive DPS increase to both. S3, when IUNO's in lunar cycle, the damage dealt by enhanced basic, new moon skill, and dodge counters increased, which is incredible because all of her damage comes from her enhanced basic and 2 special skills. This is the perfect stopping point for light spenders that want to truly squeeze out all her potential. It's about a 30% damage increase. The rest of this node you could just ignore, it's whatever. S4, casting her outro grants a shield to all resonators, except the incoming one. So this is just terrible. I don't know what they were trying to do with this. S5 is a 20% resonance liberation damage bonus to herself. So yeah, you can get this from 2 substat rolls. I don't know why they made this an entire node. It's terrible. Doesn't matter. Whoever's going to S5 is definitely trying to get to S6. Now this node is amazing. Not only is it a considerable DPS increase, but it actually changes her playstyle a bit. So damage multiplier of her outro is increased by 1600. Okay. This also puts IUNO back into her lunar cycle, already in new moon state. It fills her Forte fully and resets all cooldowns. This almost doubles her DPS. So her rotation stays the same, except now, when her Concerto is full, instead of outroing, you cast a heavy attack, and then do her entire DPS window again. Now, they don't mention any limitations to this, so it does seem like you can do this infinitely, which is whatever. I mean, buffs will run out, but as a solo DPS, she's incredible. If you find her fun, you could just keep playing her on field as much as you want, and the rotation doesn't get weird. This is honestly such a nice node for IUNO enjoyers. But that'll wrap things up for IUNO. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I'm starting to regret pulling Augusta's sig, because IUNO is just straight up an account changer. And no, she is not niche. Ignore the people fixated on this one single passive. Yes, it's broken, but she's got an entire kit. Plus she's got the dogs out, so obvious must pull.